This is not a game. And I said that to my friend Sergei when we talked about it initially. It has to be real.
A blunt warning from John Kerry to Syria and Russia. Joining me now is Lanny Davis, author of Crisis Tales, 5 Rules for Coping with Crises in Business, Politics and Life. He's also the former White House Special Counsel to President Clinton. Also Kristol Anderson, a Republican pollster with the Winston Group, and Bill Kristol, editor of the Weekly Standard. Welcome to all of you. Lanny Davis, you wrote a fascinating piece defending President Obama overall. Do you ever think the day would come when Vladimir Putin would be storming the ramparts of the New York Times to lecture and hector the American president on ethics, morality and the good Lord?
The definition of hypocrisy is Vladimir Putin using the rule of law next to his name. So the answer is chutzpah, if he knows what that word means.
Is he a necessary evil in this? John Kerry says it's not a game, and it's not for those who are being bombed and losing their lives. But in a sense, we're in the middle of a very sophisticated political chess game here. Is Putin, in the end, a necessary evil to get to where perhaps America would prefer to be?
Yes, but the sequence is important. It was Barack Obama who dug in against popular opinion, especially in the Democratic Party, about this military strike, and then Putin blinked and put pressure on Assad to give up these chemical weapons. So Putin is necessary, and I think Putin being aligned with the United States on this matter to get rid of the chemical weapons is not done yet, as Kerry said, but is a necessary evil, yes.
Bill Kristol, so apparently Vladimir Putin blinked. Do you go along with that?
No, it's the first time I've actually heard that analysis. It's quite unique and idiosyncratic. So Putin's the one who backed down here, is that right?
Well, the last time I looked, Bill, it was Barack Obama that threatened military action, and then Putin said, okay, we'll cooperate on it. So
he saved his client.
One thing happens, and the second thing happens, I put a connection between those two events.
He saved his client, Bashar al-Assad, from serious military action by the United States of America in return for a promise, which is, there isn't even a piece of paper for it to be written on yet, that at some point he might give over chemical weapons to Putin. Assad is now scot-free. He's used chemical weapons. He's paid no price. He's strengthened himself. Al-Qaeda's been strengthened among the rebels because we've betrayed our friends there. Iran's been strengthened, and we've been weakened.
Well, just to quickly respond, if you turn out to be right, Bill, I'll withdraw my current admiration for what happened. But I think that if this does happen and Assad is forced to give up these chemical weapons, that's a good thing for the world. And I would say that Putin was forced to, at least his own ally, put pressure on him to get rid of them, and that's a good thing for the world.
Kristen, you're in the middle here, far away.
I'll agree that if Syria has no chemical weapons, that's a great thing, but let's not for one second think that Vladimir Putin's interests are anything but Vladimir Putin increasing his own power, period. That's what he's about. And so what we've got in this situation is Vladimir Putin is in the driver's seat, and that makes me very nervous.
Kristen, let me jump in there. You see, that's fine, but why shouldn't he be trying to increase both his own power and that of Russia? Isn't the problem that he's been allowed to? He's even dominating the op-ed pages of New York's finest newspaper. So
yeah,
I don't blame Vladimir Putin. He can't believe his luck.
It's not New York's finest newspaper, if I can interrupt on that.
Which one would you say is, Bill?
Well, certainly the Wall Street Journal and the New York Post, just to pick two. And I rather like the Daily News as well, so I'm...
Actually, I agree with you. Let's make
just a factual correction.
The fifth finest newspaper in New York. Either way, the New York Times is a venerable newspaper, and it's been hijacked by Vladimir Putin today to basically hector the Americans. I mean, Kristen, this is not exactly a win-win for America or the president, is it?
No, and it's a shame that we've gotten to this place. I mean, what he's doing is he's filling a vacuum. This whole diplomatic solution is something that America has kind of stumbled into and is going along with as a way to save face, because we didn't do something earlier to begin to stall this off. Right now, what concerns me a little bit about the idea of arming the rebels now is, have the nature of the rebels changed in the last year or two to where it's less of a moderate force than we might have had before? I mean, my problem here is, I don't know what a win looks like out of this Syria situation. The president didn't articulate what a win looks like in his speech. And until we know what a win looks like, I think people are going to be very hesitant to want to commit any American resources to trying to achieve an unknown objective.
Bill Kristol, at what point does Barack Obama have to do a military strike to maintain credibility here?
You know, I don't know. I think this diplomatic process can go on an awful long time. I supported the president's original statement that he felt a red line had been crossed, and he was right when he said not just his red line, but the world's red line. He didn't follow through on that. He went to Congress. I supported him when he sought the resolution for the authorization of force in Congress. I'm not sure you can sort of, you know, get that balloon blown up again, or whatever the right metaphor is, once you're in one of these long diplomatic processes. So I think we may end up with Assad in power. Hopefully some reduction in his chemical weapons stockpile. But I think a blow to our friends in the Middle East, a strengthening of Iran. I say this, look, I wish this weren't the case. I'm very unhappy about the situation we're in as an American, but I think we're in a bad situation.
Lanny Davis, you're
in a worse situation than we were 3 weeks ago.
Right, Lanny, you're a crisis management expert. This is, by any yardstick, a crisis, and it could get a lot worse very quickly. If you were advising President Obama right now, what would you be advising him to do?
A much clearer message, which I think until his speech was lacking. Number one, the moral issue, which I write about in my Hill.com column, is very paramount.
But everyone agrees with the moral issue, don't they?
And
everyone thinks Assad's a bad guy who's almost certainly used the chemical weapons. I think that is a given, but that doesn't seem to be enough to drive the American public to want to take military action. How does Barack Obama deal with that eventuality if the Russian game plan stalls?
Well, if Bill turns out to be too pessimistic and I turn out to be correctly optimistic, those chemical weapons get taken away from Assad. The opposition in Syria that John McCain and Lindsey Graham have identified are not jihadists, that are civic and political and secular small d Democrats need to be strengthened, and then maybe in the long run Bill will look back and come to agree with me. Sometimes that can be possible.
Well, it's a lot to wish for, but I hope you're right. Lanny Davis, Kristen Soltis and Bill Kristol, thank you all very much indeed. Coming next, a man who thinks that guns for the blind